So last week I watched Transformers for no reason except that I just had the DVD lying around and I just wanted to watch it for the first time. So going into this film, I was I was pretty intrigued by it. I saw some clips online before I watched it, and it looked pretty fun, so I just went ahead and watched it. And so basically, I've divided this movie into three categories. One, the good category; two, the bad category; and three, the so stupid that it's good category. This film has quite a bit to talk about, so let's just not waste any time and let's just start off with the bad stuff. First thing I did not like is the military subplot. It's just not very good. It just feels too complicated, and it just feels like it's thrown out of nowhere. I've heard that these movies are kind of like propaganda for that and some stuff. But if that's what they were going for, it just seems pretty lame. And Tyrese Gibson is the only genuinely good part of that whole subplot. The next thing that I didn't like is one we can all probably agree on: Sam's parents. Because his parents act so awkward, dumb, and annoying. It's also not interesting at all. And you could make the subplot at least watchable if you had some good leads, but they're just poorly written and they come out off as extremely annoying. Next bad thing are the performances. This is probably going to be a controversial thing to say, but I don't think Shia LaBeouf is very good in here. He's just so awkward and weird. Granted, he does give some of the most funny parts of this movie, but it just feels like an awkward teenager rambling on about his truck and the Transformers and everything, and it's not great. And the rest of the cast don't help it either, but there are two people that are actually pretty okay. Megan Fox, which she got a lot of hate on this movie, but honestly, I don't think she's that bad. She seems to do the best she's got, and of course, Tyrese Gibson, who is the only good part of the military subplot, he does a really good job in here too. But that's about it. Everybody else is kind of stale and uninteresting. Now let's move on to the good stuff. First good thing, the Autobots. Even though the Autobots are only in here for about half of the movie because they're dedicating so much time to the parents in the military, they still make the best of it and give probably the best scenes in the movie. They're really cool to watch, and even though this is kind of one big commercial to buy some toys, I think it does the job right. And speaking of which, even though I have no connection to Transformers, never watched anything Transformers related, and the only characters I knew were going in were Optimus Prime and Bumblebee, I got super excited when Optimus Prime transformed him into his true self for the first time, which was very unexpected because again, I don't have any connection to this property. But I think Michael Bay did a pretty good job adapting the Transformers onto the big screen, at least for this movie. I've heard the other ones he didn't do so great. Now let's talk about the special effects. The special effects in here are amazing. They were way better than I was expecting, and again I saw some of the clips and they looked okay. Apparently I saw the worst parts of the special effects because these just blew my mind. If this movie came out, like, say, a week from now, it probably would look like standard 2022 CGI, honestly. It's just very good, and I applaud the crew for making it look this good. Now, this is gonna sound pretty crazy, but honestly, my favorite part of this movie is Sam and Michaela's relationship, because they just seem so realistic. Granted, not everything they say is realistic. In fact, probably some of the stuff they would say would never be spoken in real life. But for the majority of it, I felt like this is how people in this situation would react. And one other thing, I find it pretty new and fresh that Michaela is a bit smarter than Sam, because even though Sam isn't like a complete idiot, he's not the brightest, and Michaela's just kind of there to guide him, and I think that's honestly kind of cool. Now we get to the stupid stuff, and I'm very excited to talk about this. Now, you're probably thinking like it's a huge deal, and it's not. But there were just moments in here that just were super hilarious, and I want to share them. And those moments were just like insanely awkward, and they were so funny. Here's the first example. So, like, this is about 40 minutes into the movie. Sam's just figured out Bumblebee. There's like his car is technically alive. So his car turns on. He gets onto his pink bike, and he's just running on the street, like on the sidewalk, and Bumblebee is just right behind him, following him. And then he crashes into the place Michaela's eating, and then she's like, "Sam, are you okay?" And then he's like, "No, I'm not. My car is chasing me." And then he just gets back on the bike, and it's just so funny to me. The other scene, it's not like the whole scene isn't entirely funny. In fact, it's kind of stupid and not in the good way. But the way they end it is just so awkward and hilarious. So it's the scene where Sam is looking for the backpack. As they're searching, his parents break into his room, and they have like a 3-minute conversation about like what that noise was. And then when they finally figure out Michaela's there, then Sam's like, "Mom, where's my backpack?" And she's like, "It's in the kitchen." And I'm like, the scene was just like pointless, but I still liked it because it was funny. So that's what I meant by this film being having some very, very stupid parts to it. Overall, Transformers is pretty dumb. It's certainly not awful. In fact, there's some genuinely good stuff in it, and mix that with some very hilariously awkward moments. And I came out of this movie with an overall positive experience. I'm going to give Transformers a 7 out of 10. Guys, thanks so much for watching. You can check out my other channels in the description. And I'm still trying to figure out how to get back into Letterboxd, but I will put it back in the description when I can get back in. Anyways, take care, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye. It's electric. I'm lost in your eyes.